this is Melissa with the StockSwitch.com, and tonight we're going to go over a play. It was EXPR. This is actually from a couple of days ago. This is from August 22nd. The reason I decided to go over this play was because a bunch of people had asked me questions about it, and the thing is, it was a great gap. It was a great gap, but it wasn't easy to play. And I wanted to do a video and go over it tonight so you can see what happened here with this one. And that's one of the reasons why I decided I wanted to have a rating system to pick gaps that was very detailed, because, you know, there's particular things that happen in gaps, and there's a lot to look at in the morning when you're trying to decide what to play. And you've got to make sure you see everything properly, because you don't want to miss these things. This was a really nice gap that I had 100% conviction it was going to work, but the setup was not easy. And, you know, we love to get up every morning and say everything's perfect, everything's easy, easy peasy, tweezy, but it just doesn't work that way. This is a market, it's a living organism. People are trading it, and things don't set up perfectly every day. That being said, it was a perfect gap, and it did set up in its own perfect way. Now let's go over it. So here it is. It was a great gap. It was a great gap. It opened down here. This is the 22nd. It opened at 1524. The night before, it closed at 1690. Now, it opened down here, and you could have panicked when it went up like this. However, it did not do anything wrong. It did nothing wrong. Do you know that the top of this bar is 1598 and the low of this bar is 1596? Boom, that's all that it did. It opened, and for some inexplicable reason, we don't need to know why, and it doesn't even matter. It decided to go up, boom, touch that, and come right back down. No big deal. Doesn't mean it's not a good gap. It is a good gap. It's a great gap. It's a fabulous gap. This was a wonderful play. You could have made a lot of money on it if you took it at the right place. It was not easy. You have to know how to read gaps, in particular using my rating system, which looks at 26 points to determine if something's good enough to play in the morning. And this was a great one. I didn't know it was going to do this, but you don't know how things are going to act until they open in the morning. That's why you watch them. You have to know how to read candlesticks, and you have to know when to take them and when to play them. That's also what I teach in my class, these plays. But this did nothing wrong here. I know you might have been scared when it did that, and people moved away from it and said, I'm not going to take it, and I understand. But if you have conviction in the gap, that it's a professional bearish gap, it is changing the trend on the stock for a couple of days or a couple of weeks or a couple of months, or means a new, bigger move down for this lower, you have to go with the conviction. And that's why it's so important to rate these things in the morning. It's so important to look at lots of things. It's so important to look at more than just the fact that it's breaking support. In fact, if you said, I'm going to rate gaps based on stuff breaking support, your list would be a mile long. Oh, tons of things break support. You got to have more information, or you're not going to get things like this. And then it continued the next day. Yes, it rallied up here, but this thing is lower. Still looks great. So let's go to the 15 minutes. Here's what we saw on the daily chart, but this is a 15-minute. I know that this bar can be scary, but it settled down right after it didn't. Sometimes you let them do what they have to do. You're not playing it in this kind of activity, but you're letting it do it. Let it settle itself down. And if it settles itself down, you play it then when it sets. And that's what happened here. Held the high of the day. This is not a bullish bar. This is a bearish bar. I know it's green, but I don't care. This stock opened, went down, went all the way up there and came all the way in, lost more than a half of its value, and has a huge topping tail, and it's a bearish gap, which looks great. Look at this. This is fabulous. So I just want to go over the fact that we're playing and shorting into a 15-minute bar, I know, but this is not bullish. Let's just be clear. If this was solid green, I'd have a different tail to tell maybe, but that's not the case. And it held the high of the day here. Now let's go to the 1 minute and look at the play. Now I did a little quiz on Facebook, and nobody wanted to answer to me. I said, where was it? Perfect entry on this. Somebody said, where was the entry on this? And I said, you tell me the entry, and nobody wrote back. And then I think one person wrote back, nobody wanted to talk about it because nobody wants to say the wrong thing. I don't care if you say the wrong thing. There's no right or wrong thing. This is about learning. Say what you think, and you learn from it. This is what this is about. How else are you going to get better? So here's the thing. Yes, it's open and did this, and this was the tail stuff that we saw. Nobody's in this. You're not playing this. There's no entry here. There's nothing to do. We're not buying this. It's a bearish gap. There's nothing to short in here. This is green and taily, topping tails, bottoming tails, all over the place. Let it set itself. Let it figure itself out. So then it started to get calm here. Okay, it set itself right here. Still can't take it on the first sell setup. Why? Because all of this wiggling, jiggling. You don't know for sure. You need to, this has to hold here. So you like the gap. This does this. Gotta wait. Starts to set itself here. Still can't take it there. Gotta wait. Goes down here. Now you got it setting itself. You know what the entry was? Right here. 1572. Stop has to be over 1577. 1570. You're not giving this any room at all. I don't care what it does. Give it 2 pennies or whatever the spread is. That's it. This thing should not go over that because you know what it would do if it did. If it would be doing a buy setup, a 1-minute chart around a reversal time, and it would go up there and go over the high of the day. It cannot go over here. One thing is very clear. On these gaps, when I play them, I give them no room. When they set themselves. And this is something that I teach in my class, in my 2-day seminar. It's very important. But when something sets itself, you do not give it any room in the first 15 minutes of the day because they should hold, period. And if they don't, they're either going to rally some more, reset themselves for the real entry if for some reason it needs more breathing room, or they're not going to work at all. So you can't give them any room. Especially not after this mumbo jumbo. Now, I wasn't scared off of this because the fact is it was a great gap. It was a great gap and it rated so well. And I'm not going to go into why now because that's what you learn in my 2-day seminar. But here was the entry. So at 1571, if you took 4,000 shares of it and risked $280 and it went down to the target, I'll show you where you had to get out of it. If it went down to the target, which was like $15, you would have made 10 times the risk. Like $29.80 you would have made on this thing. Actually went under the low of the day down here. First target was 15. It actually dinged a little bit down here, but you had to be out of it right here. Okay, when it hit 15. It was a beautiful play. And after it set itself, there was no suffering ever. It never got anywhere near up there. It was a beautiful play. This is the reason that I want people to take my class, because I want people to learn how to do this stuff and not get scared out of this. And this is the difference between having conviction in a gap. And saying to yourself, I know that this is going to work. And I'm going to wait until it sets itself to work. Remember there was another one that we went over the other week, ADSK. That clearly did not work. And it told me that it didn't work immediately for the reasons that we discussed. But that didn't happen here. This was mumbo-jumbo-ness. This isn't buying. This is confusion, people getting out. This isn't craziness. It only went a little bit over this first bar high of the day. This is another good point. 1588, 1598. In fact, it basically held 16. It held 16. It didn't do anything wrong. You really could have been more gutsy with it, but you got to wait after it does this. I mean, there's just no two ways about it. I don't want to see people getting hurt. You really got to wait. But I mean, all that stuff that I'm just talking about now gave you more conviction, and only went 10 cents over the high of the day, held under 16, beautiful gap, and after you took it, it just bled. And a lot of people, I think, miss this thing because just the way that it opened in the morning, it had a really, really tough entry. And if you don't know how to rate this gap and you're not sure how to play this kind of activity, you would be concerned about taking something with a 5-cent stop, at this time of the day on something that just did this. But I wasn't, because of the way that the gap rated. Okay, and here we go back to it. And remember, it didn't do anything wrong here. Did absolutely nothing wrong. This is Melissa with thestockswoosh.com, and if you have any questions, please feel free to email me at melissa@thestockswoosh.com. I'd love to have you attend my next seminar. I'm doing one on the 9th and 10th of September, and the 22nd and 23rd. If you're interested, please feel free to email me at melissa@thestockswoosh.com. Thank you, and have a good night.